Welcome to the Canada Immigration Matters YouTube channel. We're discussing a crucial topic, spousal sponsorship and the new limits on spousal sponsorship. Are you thinking or planning to sponsor your spouse to Canada? There is a big update you must know. Watch this video to the end to find out our very limited and generous offer. New limits on spousal sponsorship. Canada's Immigration Levels Plan has a target of 78,000 newcomers under spousal sponsorships this year, 2023. Based on the level of immigration through spousal sponsorships in the first 5 months of this year, Canada could expect to welcome 90,036 spouses and common law partners through this immigration program this year. That level of spousal sponsorships would be 40.4%, or 25,911 new permanent residents, higher than the comparable figure of 64,125 of these immigrants for all of last year. In its Immigration Levels Plan 2023 to 2025, Ottawa has already set an upper limit of 84,000 new permanent residents under programs to sponsor spouses, partners, and children. The target for this year for that category of immigrants is 78,000 new permanent residents. What do the new limits mean to you? The new limits may affect your eligibility to sponsor your spouse or partner. It's important to understand these changes and how they impact your immigration plans. Time is of the essence when it comes to spousal sponsorship. So, it is crucial to start the process as soon as possible and avoid unnecessary delays. Now, let's understand what spousal sponsorship is. Spousal sponsorship is a program that allows Canadian citizens and permanent residents to sponsor their spouse or partner for immigration to Canada. This is one of the most popular streams of Canadian immigration, which makes it easy for citizens and permanent residents to bring their spouses to Canada with reduced processing times because Canada knows that families should never be put on hold. The program is available to those living in Canada and for spouses living outside Canada. Maybe some of you came to Canada as a student or temporary worker and you have now become a permanent resident or citizen of Canada. Well, this is your time. It's an opportunity for new and old families to be together and build a new life in Canada. But who can you sponsor? You may be eligible to sponsor your spouse, common law, or conjugal partner for Canadian permanent residents, whether they are living in Canada with a valid temporary visa or residing abroad. Applicants who are living in Canada may also qualify for an open work permit, giving couples the chance to relieve some of their financial burdens. It's important to note that same-sex marriages and relationships are also recognized under Canadian immigration law. When you consult with us, we will explain the eligibility criteria for each category and help you determine who you can sponsor. Requirements to sponsor your spouse in Canada. Now, let's talk about the requirements to sponsor your spouse. To be eligible, you must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, be at least 18 years old, and prove that you're not receiving social assistance for reasons other than a disability. Also, you must be able to financially support your spouse and any dependent children. You need to meet specific requirements. Who is not eligible to sponsor a spouse? There are some cases in which a permanent resident or citizen is not eligible to sponsor a spouse. If one of the below scenarios applies, a sponsor may be ineligible if they are currently in prison, if they have not paid alimony or child support payments, they have declared bankruptcy and are not yet released, they are receiving social assistance for reasons other than a disability. Also, if they have failed to pay back a previous immigration loan, made late payments, or missed payments. If they have previously sponsored another relative and failed to meet the terms of the sponsorship agreement, or they have been convicted of a violent crime, any offense against a relative, or any sexual offense, depending on details of the case. What about the costs? Sponsoring your spouse involves fees. You'll need to pay for both sponsorship and processing fees. If you are sponsoring your spouse and they have dependent children, a $150 payment will be required for each child included in the application. If you are including only your spouse, $1,080 is required. Be sure to check the video description section where we have the link to the latest fee schedule on the official Canadian government website. What is the income requirement for Canadian spousal sponsorship? Unlike most other forms of Canadian family sponsorship, for spousal sponsorship, including spouses in common law or conjugal partners, you do not need to demonstrate a minimum amount of income to sponsor a spouse. However, you must sign an undertaking in which you promise to provide financial support for the basic needs of your sponsored spouse. This undertaking is required and acknowledges a sponsor's promise to repay social assistance benefits paid to the spouse during the period of the undertaking. The length of the undertaking is 3 years from the day the sponsored individual becomes a Canadian permanent resident. Do I need a job to sponsor a family member? To sponsor a family member other than a spouse or partner, applicants must meet a minimum necessary income requirement. While a job is not necessarily required, sponsors must provide proof of sufficient income from the past 3 years to support their sponsored family members. Processing time. How long does the spousal sponsorship process take? Well, processing times can vary depending on several factors, such as the country of residence, application volume, and completeness of your application. You can check the official government website for current processing times. Can I sponsor my fiancé to come to Canada? Canada does not provide an option for Canadian permanent residents or citizens to sponsor their fiancé to come to Canada. Canadian citizens and permanent residents must get married to apply under the spousal sponsorship category. Alternatively, it may be possible to sponsor your fiancé to come to Canada if they qualify as a common law partner. Now, let's discuss inland versus outland spousal sponsorship. Inland sponsorship is for spouses who are already in Canada, while outland sponsorship is for spouses residing outside Canada. Working and visiting while waiting. A common question is whether your spouse can visit and work in Canada while their sponsorship application is being processed. Another variation of this question is, can my spouse or common law partner work in Canada while their inland spousal sponsorship application is being processed? Yes, they can apply for a visitor visa or a work permit, but it's essential to follow the proper procedures. If your spouse or common law partner is living in Canada with a valid work permit, they may continue to work, without interruption, until their visa expires. If they are living in Canada with a valid study or visitor visa, they may be eligible to apply for an open work permit that allows them to work while their application is being processed. Spouse Open Work Permit, SOWP. Let's talk briefly about Spouse Open Work Permit. If your spouse is currently working or studying in Canada, or if you have applied to be sponsored for permanent residence by your spouse or partner in Canada, you may be eligible for an open work permit. How to prove your relationship is genuine. Proving that your relationship is genuine is crucial. You'll need to provide documentation and evidence of your relationship, such as marriage certificates, photos, joint financial documents, and more. Most common reasons for spousal visa rejection in Canada. While Canada is keen to welcome family members of permanent residents, spousal sponsorship visa rejection is also not uncommon. One of the biggest concerns is having your spousal sponsorship application rejected. But knowing the spousal visa rejection reasons can help you avoid the trouble. So, if you're about to sponsor your spouse, conjugal partner, or common law partner to Canada, look at some of the reasons you may face spousal visa rejection. 1. You or the sponsored spouse are ineligible. Ineligibility is one of the most common causes of spousal visa rejection. You may be ineligible to sponsor a family member to Canada if you're a permanent resident applying for outland spousal sponsorship. Your sponsored spouse may be ineligible if they have a criminal record, they're a health or security risk, or have human rights violation charges against them. 2. You missed important documents and details. When applying for spousal sponsorship in Canada, it's essential to be as detailed as possible in your application. If you fail to fully declare all the family members, miss out on important certificates establishing your relationship with the sponsored individual, or fail to provide your personal supporting documents, you're risking rejection. 3. It hasn't been long since you were sponsored. Individuals who have been sponsored to Canada under family sponsorship must wait at least 5 years before they apply for spousal sponsorship immigration. 4. You defaulted on the previous sponsorship. If you sponsored a spouse or family member in the past but failed to keep up their financial assistance, you may not be able to succeed on a new spousal sponsorship application. 5. You are a recipient of financial aid or social assistance. If you're a social assistance recipient in Canada, you cannot sponsor a spouse. Therefore, those applying for spousal sponsorship immigration must have strong financial standing. 6. You have a criminal record. If you've ever been convicted of a criminal charge in Canada, you cannot apply for spousal sponsorship. Special offer from Chugo Immigration Services. Finally, here's something special for our viewers. Chugo Immigration Services is currently offering a limited-time 25% discount for applicants who choose us for their spousal sponsorship application. Don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity. I hope this information has been valuable to you. Remember, taking action now and getting the process right is essential for reuniting with your loved ones in Canada. Contact us at Chugo Immigration Services to book your consultation. Thank you for watching.